Hello and welcome to another episode of Naperville Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Patrick Codo. We have a jam-packed episode for you, so let's get to those highlights.
And I'm Patrick Codo. When you see Saluki women's soccer take the pitch in August, a big part of it was securing a solid head coach. I met with head coach Grant Williams and have the story.
We may be in a pandemic, but that won't stop this group of Special Olympic athletes from competing. Let's take you courtside for the outdoor version of Pack the Place.
With a high-flying offense and a stout defense, SIU traveled to SEC country to take on the dangerous Ole Miss Rebels.
High school football did not take place in the fall, but the season is here for the 2021 spring edition. And despite the long wait, 6 of our area schools are ready to hit the gridiron.
Well, coming up, the Saluki baseball team begins conference play this weekend. And is Loyola's Sister Jean the only talk of the NCAA tournament? Stay tuned.
After no competition in 2020, the Water Polo State Tournament is here for the 2021 season. The postseason is also no stranger to the Naperville North girls and the Naperville Central boys. Will we see those 2 area teams back in the finals? Let's check out their progress in the pool.
I mean, it's great. Just all the uncertainty. Being able to get back in the gym with the guys, practicing a lot, and playing more games than usual. It's really great to be back in the gym.
Throughout most of the winter, Ben Schweiger and the rest of the Waubonsie Valley boys basketball team were uncertain a high school season would be able to happen due to COVID-19 concerns. However, in late January, the Illinois Department of Public Health and the IHSA both agreed that basketball would be able to return to competition once the state's regions returned to Phase 4. Once DuPage County hit that milestone in early February, Schweiger and the Warriors got to work right away and haven't missed a beat. As the 6'6" shooting guard enters his senior season, Schweiger believes that basketball has always been the sport that fits him best.
I just feel like basketball, I could do the most with it. I could be creative. And even when I was like feeling sad or anything, I could just go outside and shoot, and it would just bring me peace.
Schweiger began his varsity career as a sophomore for a Warrior team that had many upperclassmen, including Marcus Skeet, Darian Porter, and Eric Cannon. That Warrior squad also won the program's first regional title in over a decade. Ever since earning his first varsity minutes, Schweiger knew he had to be ready for whatever role the team needed.
I think it's just committing 100% to your role on the team. So sophomore year, I was a spot-up shooter, and I committed myself to that role. Junior year, our seniors graduated, and now there's all that minutes and all those points that are just up in the air. So I kind of had to grab those and fill those shoes. And now this year, it's the same thing. We lost Marcus Skeet, Mason Marinelli, and Christian Kamal. So those are just more spots that need to be filled.
Head coach Jason Mead originally brought him up as a three-point shooter, but he knew Schweiger had more in his toolkit than just hitting buckets from deep.
He gave us something that we needed. We needed a little more length off the bench when he was a sophomore. We had a very senior-heavy team that year, and that was just kind of a niche role that was missing. And he filled it pretty well. He did a nice job. He's had a lot of success offensively. He's been very versatile for us defensively as he's grown.
It wasn't always an easy road for Schweiger. Despite averaging 16.4 points per game and being a part of the All-DVC team his junior year, Schweiger was dealing with multiple injuries towards the end of the season. However, that did not stop the rest of the Warriors from continuing their winning ways.
First few games, it was really tough sitting on the sidelines, not being able to help my team out. But I mean, I think they did an amazing job playing without me. There was a lot of talent on that team, and some of that talent was overlooked. And I feel like when I came out, they all stepped up and filled their roles, and they really showed how great that team was.
It's not just the basketball court where the high-flying senior shines. Schweiger will also continue his varsity career as a member of the Waubonsie Valley boys volleyball team. After having no season his junior year because of COVID-19, Schweiger looks to make one last stand his senior year. After high school, Schweiger will continue his basketball career at Loyola Chicago, a team that made a Cinderella run to the Final Four during his freshman year in high school. With the Ramblers, Schweiger will also be playing alongside former Naperville North Husky Tom Welch, while under the tutelage of head coach Porter Mosier, another Naperville native. As Schweiger finishes out his senior season, Coach Meade realizes it will be strange to no longer be coaching this standout player he's seen blossom over the past half-decade.
The thing I'm going to miss the most is Ben. It's somebody I've spent a lot of time with for the last 3 years. I knew him when he was a freshman. He came to 8th grade camp. I've known him for 5 years, basically. It's going to be different as not being around Ben.
Reporting for Naperville Sports Weekly, I'm Patrick Codo.
This has been home, for me. This has been a place I haven't taught here for 2 years, but I still spend close to 6 hours here every day. I love this place. I love Naperville Central. I'm gonna miss the friendships. That's what I'm gonna miss.
On Friday, April 23rd, 2021, Naperville Central head football coach Mike Stein gave the Redhawks his final pregame speech before a season finale matchup against Maine South. Due to the increase of COVID-19 cases in Illinois, the IHSA pushed football to the spring, allowing only 6 weeks of competition and no state playoffs. Despite the big adjustments, Stein still approached the spring like any other football season.
It felt normal. In fact, for a lot of us, it felt like it was the fall. You had to kind of look at the calendar and say, what month are we in? But again, football coaches, like most sports, are very routine oriented. So once we get into the grind of football, it took us right back to what we are used to normally doing.
Stein began his coaching journey with the Redhawks in 1986 as an assistant after spending 2 years as an assistant coach with Naperville North and Benedictine University. As an assistant, Central finished as the state runner-up in 1995 and 2001 while winning the state championship with an undefeated season in 1999. In 2006, the time came for Stein to take the head coaching position following the retirement of legendary head coach Joe Bungie. However, Stein's tenure as head coach did not get off to the greatest start. The Redhawks began 2006 with an 0-3 record, although the team managed to win 8 straight games before falling to powerhouse Mount Carmel in the state quarterfinals. From that point on, Stein and his Redhawk teams were a consistent presence in the state tournament, making the playoffs in 11 of his 15 seasons, including 6 appearances in the quarterfinals, 2 state semifinal appearances, and of course, the state championship victory over Loyola in 2013. While having great success on the gridiron, many of his former players like Bobby McMillan and Jake Colby always looked up to their coach as a role model.
He's a guy who loves to put in the time and effort to make this thing great, and he has made Central football a great thing. I'm forever grateful to have played for him and have gotten these 2 years to coach under him and learn from him. And he's just so good at what he does, and Central football is forever going to be better because he was a part of it.
Coach Stein, you could just see as a natural leader, and is a natural leader of young men that has the ability to bring a group of guys that don't really know each other, that grew up together, whatever it is, and bring them together for one common goal, and that's to be as successful of a football program as you can at Naperville Central. Coach, I really appreciate the 4 years that we spent together at Naperville Central. Like I said, your time's coming to an end there. I wish it wasn't, because now I don't really know who I'm going to look back on and keep track on for the good old Redhawks. But like I said, thank you for your time. You've done so many great things for that program, not only football-wise, but also as a school.
Football was not the only sport where Stein showed his coaching acumen. He was also the head coach of the girls' track team during his time at Naperville Central, taking the role from George Sear after the program was in serious jeopardy of being dropped altogether. At first, one staff coached the boys and girls track teams, but later on, the girls team was able to add in more coaches to give the girls the instruction they needed to succeed. Before hanging up the track whistle in 2019, Stein had the privilege to coach many great athletes, including Amanda Fox, Tina Norris, and 3-time state champion Casey Short. So, why football and girls track out of all sports? His dad, Everett Stein, also coached football and girls track during his time at Byron High School. Ever since stepping into the coaching boat, Stein used his dad for inspiration.
He's the mountain I'm climbing, and we've had some parallels in our coaching career. He's my role model. He's my rock. He's when I grow up, I want to be my dad. That's what I've said since I was 5 years old, and I'm still trying to grow up and be my dad.
Fast forward to his final game as a head coach, and it turned into a night he will never forget. Naperville Central took a 31-24 lead after a Jaden McGill touchdown plunge, but the Maine South Hawks responded with a wild last-minute touchdown of their own. Maine South just needed an extra point to tie, but Shane Roth burst through the line and blocked the PAT to seal the 31-30 victory for the Red and White. After a thrilling win to end the 2021 spring season, Coach Stein ends his coaching career with over 100 wins. While all good things come to an end, this will be a journey that neither the veteran coach nor the thousands of athletes he inspired will ever forget.
It feels like it's 4 lifetimes, right? Because we all have things that go on in our lives at different chapters of our life. And, and I'm no different than a lot of other people. We all have different chapters. So, it's gone by in a blink, but it's also, when I slow it down in my mind, it's been a fantastic, wonderful journey.
Reporting for Naperville Sports Weekly, I'm Patrick Codo. Seeing football played under the stadium lights in the springtime is a strange sight into itself, but watching wrestling mats laid out onto the football field on a warm Friday night, now that is a whole other level of bizarre.
I mean, when has Fright Wrestling been Friday Night Lights in Naperville? When has the Crosstown Classic been wrestling? And thanks to all the fans and the parents who could come out tonight. I wish we could have had more, but I wish we could do this every year.
With wrestling being moved to late spring because of the COVID-19 pandemic, this year's wrestling version of the Crosstown Classic between Naperville North and Naperville Central wanted the spotlight out on the gridiron. With this higher-risk sport taking place in the spring, it was the perfect fit for a safer and fun environment, according to Naperville North head coach Tom Champion.
With the spring wrestling, the first thing I did was call Coach Fitzenreiter and said, we're doing an outside meet. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if we got to get a giant tent. We're wrestling outside under the lights. It's going to be fun. And Noah jumped on board and made it happen, so win-win.
A win-win indeed, as the event took place in a safe manner, and the wrestlers themselves liked the safety planned into the competition.
It's a lot safer to be outside, but I think we just thought it'd be really cool. Just a really cool, experience for everybody to be out in the middle of the football field, where usually it's the football players through the stars. Today it was the wrestlers. But yeah, it was just a lot safer and a lot more cooler.
The outdoor meet was one to remember. Naperville North took a 21-7 lead, much to the excitement of the Husky wrestlers and fans. But the Redhawks responded, outscoring the Huskies 35-3 the rest of the night. The final match featured Central's Tommy Porter, who was back from an injury, and getting a win was the perfect return. At the end of the day, wins and losses aside, it was an experience these wrestling rivals will never forget.
This is a first for, I think, most of us. It's awesome to, obviously have the opportunity to have a wrestling season, let alone wrestle outside versus our crosstown rivals. Not the outcome we wanted, but we just got to make the most out of our opportunities these days, so it was a fun night.
It was really fun to be back, especially against our rivals North, and even more especially outside. So it's probably never going to happen again. It's never happened before, so it was a really cool experience not only to be back against North, but to be outside too. It was really fun. I was lucky I was the last match, so I got the full darkness and the lights, which is really cool. So just a really cool experience.
Reporting for Naperville Sports Weekly, I'm Patrick Codo.